All right, cousins, welcome back to the new era of Melanin Mysteries, where the crimes are outrageous, the people are unhinged, and I am once again asking why nobody in these stories ever just sat down, drank some water, and minded their damn business. Now, if you are new here, welcome, cousin. I'm Tiffany, your favorite loud cousin with a microphone, Wi-Fi, and entirely too many opinions. And around here, we tell true crime stories with respect and dignity. But let me be crystal clear, because I am still going to cut up. We going to kiki, we going to gasp, we going to clutch our invisible pearls. And every now and again, I got to pause the story because somebody in these cases made a decision so stupid, it irritated my spirit personally, okay? Now, that may or may not be your ministry, and honestly, that is okay. But hopefully, you stick around long enough to become part of the family because the cousins over here, baby, we have fun. Now, to my day ones, my cousins, my people, I have missed y'all bad. Like boyfriend in county jail call and collect bad every night. Yeah. So I just want to thank y'all for coming back for another week of confusion, chaos, side eyes, foolishness, and people committing crimes like prison don't exist. And before we get started, I really, really want y'all to understand how thankful I am for y'all because y'all have loved me down these last few months. I mean, the messages, the comments, the reposts, the girl, where's the episode before I start twitching DMs? All of it means more to me than y'all will ever know. Because some days y'all carried me when I was too tired to carry myself, and I appreciate each and every single one of y'all for that. And speaking of people pouring into me, I got to shout out my podcast family because when I say they have been my emotional support cousins lately, I want to give a huge shout out to Anthony over at Bitch I Can't Podcast, T from Tipsy Tales with T, Nisha over at Hot Garbage, and my Virgo twin Renee from Melanin Mayhem. And listen, if y'all are not tuned into them already, then honestly, I need you to fix it like right now. Immediately. I need you to go run my fam streams up because, like I said, they are amazing. All of them. And they are all different. Love them down. Now, before we dive headfirst into this what in the low budget criminal minds episode as cases is, I got to hit y'all with a few announcements y'all already know. Now, first up, the Cousin Confessions is going live on May 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is for my subscribers only, VIP cousin business only. We talking giveaways. I got some laughs. I got the tea. Oversharing, probably somebody that admitted they didn't key the car back in 2017 and the statute of limitations has finally passed. When I tell you a time will be had. So I need my subscribers to hit me up directly for your private link because these apps do not let me see anybody's information. And if you want to become a subscriber and join the chaos, all you got to do is head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just sign up, cousin. It's so easy. Also, I'm currently looking for a married man. Don't get on. Hold up. Let me finish talking. For the Love, Lies, and Alibis panel. Okay, calm down. So I'm trying to launch this thing in June, and I just need a married man, just one, willing to come and sit down and answer some messy relationships questions publicly. So if y'all know somebody funny, honest, and brave enough to potentially have to sleep on the couch after work, send them my way, okay? And look, can y'all believe that July makes 2 full years of Melanin Mysteries, which honestly feels so crazy because this started off as a crazy idea to me in my sleep, and it has somehow turned into this amazing family of cousins that I genuinely love. Now, to celebrate, I am heading down to New Orleans for Essence Fest with my Virgo twin, and we're going to be outside spreading the good word of Melanin Mysteries and Melanin Mayhem. So, if you gonna be in NOLA, hit me up, cousin. And lastly, please leave your girl a 5-star review wherever you listen to this show. Heavy on the 5 because I don't need y'all over there acting like angry Yelp reviewers because your spirit got offended by a little joke. And if you do have a grievance, a concern, a complaint, an issue, or your chest just a little heavy, can you hit me on my socials instead? You can find me at Melanin Mysteries across all platforms or the website melaninmysteries.com, or even if you want to email me, that's podcast@melaninmysteries.com. And while you're over there at the website, sign up for the weekly-ish newsletter because I've been inconsistent, very inconsistent. Grad season has had me out here fighting for my life, but we is free now. We is free. Now, you can also submit your anonymous cousin confessions because some of y'all living like deleted scenes from a Tubi movie and I need to hear about it immediately. So go ahead and spill it. Now, let's go ahead and get right into this case because cousins, what the hell? And I know I said that every week, but for real, this story right here, this one right here, this one had me stopping my notes every 5 minutes, just staring into space like somebody's disappointed auntie. This week, we are diving into the case of Latasha Armstead and James Williams out of Wisconsin. And let me tell y'all something. A 13-year-old, and let me tell y'all something. At 13, I was trying to convince my mama I was grown enough to walk around the mall with my little $17 Claire's earrings and an orange Julius. These two, baby, they was out here moving like miniature sociopaths with a shared AOL password. When I tell y'all the details of this case are absolutely going to blow the dust off your common sense, please believe me. So go ahead, secure your edges, lock your doors, sip your coffee carefully. And if you're driving, I need you to keep both your hands on the steering wheel because I refuse to be financially responsible after y'all swerve into a Chick-fil-A drive-through hearing madness, okay? Now, cousins, let me tell y'all what had happened. Baby, I am tired, like my whole body aching, and all I'm trying to do is finish my day and make it home. I done spent the entire day taking care of other people, helping folks who couldn't fully help themselves, and now I'm just ready to go sit down somewhere and rest my feet. And then here these two little kids asking me for a ride. So I don't think nothing of it. One gets in the front seat beside me and the other slide in the back. We driving through Milwaukee at night, and one of them tells me, "Hey, pull over into this alley real quick." That didn't sit right with my spirit, but you know that feeling when your spirit start whispering before your brain can catch up? Now, before I can even turn around good, something wraps around my neck from the back seats and starts pulling hard. I can't breathe. And I'm grabbing at the cord and I'm kicking, I'm panicking. And then I see moving beside me and the little girl in the passenger, she got a knife. And while I'm fighting for my life, all I can think is, these are babies. Why are these babies doing this to me? It's March 10th, 1997, and we are in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And baby, this case starts off with the kind of nonsense that immediately makes you sit up straighter and say, now what the hell done happened here? They said it's around 6:15 p.m. and police get called out after somebody spots a woman's body behind a house on West Wright Street. And when I say behind a house, I mean tucked back there like somebody thought they was slick. They thought folks was just never going to walk around there and back again. I don't know. Now, the victim turns out to be 36-year-old Charlotte Brown. And cousins, from the second police pulled up, they already knew this was not a regular situation because they could clearly see that Charlotte had been strangled. Somebody killed this woman and dumped her body outside behind the house like she was yesterday's furniture, sitting on the curb waiting for trash pickup. And that part right there will never stop making me mad because no matter what's going on in Charlotte's life, the woman was still human. She was somebody's loved one, but people can just do something this brutal and then just go on about their day. I swear it seemed like some people got demons just tap dancing in their spirit. Now picture this scene because like I said, it's Milwaukee in March. It's cold as hell. Because it don't be giving sunshine and birds chirping. It's gray, gloomy, mind your business and go home weather. So you got the police lights flashing, neighbors outside pretending they taking the trash out for the fourth time in 30 minutes so they can be nosy. One lady probably wrapped up in the house coat whispering, I knew something wasn't right over there. And detectives are sitting there trying to figure out who Charlotte was before this happened, how she ended up back there, and who could have possibly done something this violent. Because it really wasn't giving a robbery gone wrong. It wasn't giving a random attack. This was something deeply weird happened here. And the craziest part is at this point, police have absolutely no clue the story they were about to uncover was finna sound like somebody mixed a true crime documentary with a damn middle school behavioral report. Now, after they get her body situated, she's taken to the medical examiner's office and they need to figure out exactly what happened to this woman. And like I said, they already know it wasn't an accident, and strangulation is personal. Somebody had to stand there and keep going while this woman fought for her life. That's just a different type of evil. Now, the medical examiner also documented injuries showing that Charlotte had been violently attacked before her body was dumped behind that house. And the whole time, like I said, police are trying to piece this together. They have no clue of the absolute chaos that is waiting around the corner. Because at this point, they're probably thinking this is going to lead back to some grown man with a temper, maybe a toxic relationship, maybe drugs, maybe some street mess. Baby, no. Because once the detectives start figuring out who Charlotte spent her final hours with, I know somebody at that police station had to blink hard as hell and say, "Now, how old did you say they was?" And when you find out the age is connected in this case, my Red Bull almost came out my nose. Now, before we go any further, we want to talk about Charlotte Brown because unfortunately, there's really not much information out there about her. And honestly, that always makes me sad because every victim deserves to be remembered as more than just that person in the crime story. And I couldn't find any pictures. Like I said, there was like nothing about her for real. And at first, for being for real, y'all, I wasn't sure she was one of us or she was one of them. But baby, the second that I found her obituary and I saw the nickname Bootsy, I said, "Oh yeah, that's Auntie. She one of us." But there was no pictures. But yeah, Bootsy. Ain't nobody naming a white woman Bootsy in Milwaukee. Be serious. Now, Charlotte Bootsy Brown was born June 15th, 1942. And from what we do know, she was a mother to 5 children, but I only found the names of 2, Jeffrey and Jean, and she worked as a home health aide. And I don't know why hearing that hit me a little harder because home health aides are literally some of the most overlooked, underworked people on the planet. Baby, they've been out here helping everybody else while barely getting the appreciation that they deserve. Now, instead of Charlotte being, quote, the victim, we can at least picture a real woman, a mama, a working woman, probably somebody's favorite cousin, somebody that probably kept snacks in her purse and had opinions that nobody asked for. Because that's how Bootsies always are. Like, and I swear every black family got one, every single one. Who came up with that name? Let's go. And despite how little information exists about her, one thing is so clear. Charlotte Brown deserved better than what happened to her. Now, as they're trying to piece together her final hours, they also find out that something else is missing too. Charlotte had a red Chevy Cavalier. I used to want one of them cars so bad. I don't know why. I just thought that was like the cutest car when I was like 16. Never had one, but I thought it was like the cutest car. But anyway, that car missing immediately sends up red flags because of somebody that turns up murder, but their vehicle is nowhere to be found. So detectives, they trying to track down her car, figuring, whoever had it might also be her killer. Now, just after midnight, right after her body was found, Milwaukee police are still actively looking for that car. And like I said, they had already put out a bolo. And if you know what that is, that's a be on the lookout. Because at this point, they know whoever has that car probably got a whole lot more than they should. And wouldn't you know it, police spot a car matching description and pull it over. And when they run the plates, oh yeah, that car came back to Charlotte Brown. Now imagine being an officer during this stop because what started as a regular traffic stop then turned into, oh, this that dead lady car. And immediately, police start questioning the woman driving. "Ma'am, who are you? Where did you get this car? Do you know this vehicle is connected to a homicide investigation?" And Miss Lady was like, "A homicide?" Heavy on the soldier boy voice. Now, Milwaukee police got questions and or concerns at this point. So they take the woman down to the station. They need to get some answers. Miss Lady's name is Renee Armstead. And one thing about Renee, she talked freely because, baby, she may have been a lot of things in life, but according to everything here, a murder was not one of them, okay? Now, Renee tells police that car was given to her by her daughter. Her 13-year-old daughter. And I know them detectives was probably sitting there blinking in unison because common sense would tell anybody. Now, how exactly do a 13-year-old gift people with a vehicle? She ain't rich. It's a Chevy Cavalier, so this ain't like a celebrity type situation. And remember, we got to remember that common sense is not common. Very hard lesson to recall. Police like, "Okay, so who is your daughter?" And she's like, "Well, my daughter's name is Latasha Armstead." And she says that Latasha told her that the car came from her daddy. But now, cousins, we got a tiny problem because the daddy is in prison. So, yeah. Yeah. So Renee goes on to explain that earlier that week, she had gone over to her mom, Emily Armstead's house because Latasha had called her over there. So Latasha is actually living with her grandmother, Emily, at the time. Okay. So when Renee gets there and she asks where Latasha is, Emily like, "I ain't seen her since Monday," which was like 3 or 4 days before. And I need to pause right there because you heard me correctly. Why is your 13-year-old daughter apparently been gone for days and everybody's carrying on like this isn't alarming, like this is a regular occurrence? Now, to be fair, Emily seemed like she was a little bit older and she reportedly had some health issues, which no, she couldn't have been that much older. She was older and she had a lot of health issues. So she really couldn't keep close tabs on Latasha. And as for Renee, well, Renee couldn't be a mama because she outside doing her own thing. And reports allegedly said that she struggled with addiction issues and she had been a teen mom herself. So while Renee is over there talking with Emily, speak of the devil, Latasha finally calls. And when Renee talks to her, Latasha was like, well, I'm all with my boyfriend. Her boyfriend at 13? Him now before y'all want to clutch y'all pearls too hard, I'm going to make it worse. When Latasha finally comes back to the house, she with her boyfriend, James Williams, who was 17. And he led there too. So now Renee says the two of them, like they came in acting all weird, whispering secret because they're kids. Kids, that's how they do. And she said they was moving around like they had definitely broke something expensive. Like, that you about to get in trouble. So you like, are you trying to, you know how that is. So Renee said she asked him what they was whispering about. And Latasha turns around and says, quote, my mama, I got you a car. Now that sentence should have been concerning to everybody involved. So Renee, she questions Latasha like, hello, you're 13. But apparently she didn't question her enough because the next thing Renee asked was, well, where the car at? Not where the hell you get this car, not what you doing with a car, none of that. Just, well, where the car at? So Latasha well, the car's parked down the block. And she's like, but we want to move it and put it in the garage. So Renee and Latasha, they walk down and get the car together. And then Renee lets this 13-year-old child, not the 17-year-old James, drive back and put the car in the garage. So later that same day, Renee, Latasha, James, and then Renee's sister, they all ride in this car together. Like this was a family outing and not the beginning of a homicide investigation. And then afterward, Renee takes the car back to her own house and she keep it overnight. So the next day, Renee said Emily called her and was like, hey, James wants you to bring that car back because he said he don't want you driving it. Are we taking orders from a 17-year-old that live at my mama's house? You making demands about a car that does not belong to you? Who are you talking to? Whoop your ass. Sit down somewhere. Anyway, so Renee basically said she ignored her because she was like, I don't answer you. You're a kid. And she like, I'm going to drive this car and I'll get back when I feel like it. And that is exactly how Renee ended up sitting in Milwaukee police station answering questions. Now, after police finished talking to Renee, they ain't wasting no time. They headed over to Miss Emily's house because at this point, this story is sounding like a pure, concentrated nonsense and they need to go get these kids. And when they get there, baby, Latasha and James is right there in the back room laid up like they ain't got a care in the world. Meanwhile, police is like, so this is the little Bonnie and Clyde starter kid everybody talking about. They just went ahead and arrested both of them immediately. They was like, we ain't got time to be playing around with y'all. Now, let's talk about our little teen degenerates here. First up, we got Latasha Armstead. Now, she was born in 1983, and like we said, we already know her mama was Renee. We don't know nothing about her daddy. His name didn't come up anywhere. But like I said, he was locked up in prison. I don't know how long he had, but he was gone. So right out the gate, this child did not have any type of stability at all. And when I dug deeper into Latasha's background, the more I kept having to pause because every paragraph just sounded more unbelievable than the next. According to Latasha, like I said, her mom struggled heavily with drugs and she was raised by her grandmama. But she said by the time she was 6, she said Emily had got real, real sick and she couldn't work no more. So Latasha said that at 6 years old, she started selling drugs to help take care of the house. What in the Little Rascals Breaking Bad is this shit? Because at 6-year-old, you got kids who can't even tie their shoe. Some of them still writing their S's backwards and crying because somebody took their Capri Sun at lunch, and you telling me that this child is out here allegedly paying bills, grocery shopping, cooking meals, taking care of her granny, and helping raise her little sister? Kevin McAllister, Black, at 6? That is not a childhood. That is a full-time struggle with pigtails. And honestly, the more I read about her upbringing, the more it stopped sounding like a home and started sounding like everybody was just surviving minute to minute. And it's just like the older she got, like shit just kept spiraling. She said that she started smoking weed, using meth, taking acid, popping diet pills. This is a child, literally a child. The craziest part is she said that she was scared that somebody would hurt or take advantage of her grandmother while she was away at school during the day. So she said between fourth and sixth grade, like was missing school like crazy. Like she's trying to make sure her granny okay. Heaven forbid. Now we already said Renee is an adult and she has a sister. Where y'all at? I don't know how many other siblings they had or if Emily had any more kids. But what the fuck? And what type of mother are you? And maybe because she was strung out on drugs, she wasn't paying attention, but you have your 6-year-old out here. That is, I cannot even, my brain can't even process that. Like, my brain can't process that at all. At 6 years old, I'm sitting here telling my kid, like, hey, you brush your teeth, teaching, making sure they know how to tie their shoes. That is wild to me. I couldn't even imagine, like, I don't even, like, I mean, well, that was, so she was born in 83. So right, yeah. So like, that's like the late 80s. I know our parents let us go outside and do whatever, but outside selling drugs at 6, can you add? Can you count money? Have they taught that yet? Oh, but anyway, by the time she got to 6th grade, she had just dropped out of school altogether. So girl wasn't even old enough to watch PG-13 movies, and life had already stressed her out like a divorced auntie just paying rent alone, okay? And like I said, on top of all this, she says she struggled with ADD and ADHD. Now, before we get too deep into the choices that Latasha eventually made, I got to keep it real and say, like I say, it really broke my heart because 6 is a baby, literally. Cartoons before school, missing front teeth, asking for Happy Meals and watching Nickelodeon. No child should be living like this. And her parents failed her. Every adult around her failed her. The system failed her. And when kids grow up in nonstop dysfunction, the chaos just stops feeling wrong. Now, as for James, I don't know a damn thing about James. I looked. I couldn't find nothing. I publicly found his full name was James Dante Williams. He was born in 1980. That's about it. That's a tweet. But now I will say this: back in '97, James was a cute little light skinned young man. You know, the light skinned men was in the 70s. Me personally, I love me a good light skinned man. Well, I really don't have a preference. I just love black men. I don't know. I don't have a preference, but whatever. Anyway, I'm just calling a thing a thing. But let me tell y'all, don't let that little light skin and baby face fool you, because sir was out here making terrible decisions. Terrible. But one thing was like very obvious. This boy had absolutely zero parental control, because why are you 17 and you shacked up at your little girlfriend granny house? She's 13. Absolutely the fuck not. And I know somebody gonna say, well, they was both young. No, ma'am, no, sir. Because 17 yet is technically still a teenager, but there is a huge emotional, mental difference between 13 and 17. Like I said, at 13, I'm worried about my limited 2 shirt before picture day. 17-year-olds they driving, graduate, they got jobs, they sneaking into parties. And baby, they filing taxes badly for the first time. That age gap is nasty. I do not care. You can go argue with your auntie about that one. And then the fact that everybody around them seemed to think that this arrangement was normal is a fucking mess. Because somewhere along the line, all the adults stopped adulting. Nobody was raising these kids. Now, okay, let me get off my soapbox. Now, once police get Latasha and James down to the station and start asking questions, cousins, let me remind y'all again, these are technically children, especially Latasha. But baby, after hearing what they admitted to, somebody still needed to snatch every PlayStation, snack, cake, privilege, and maybe a flip flop too, and whoop their ass. Because what in the fuck? Oh, sorry, I didn't tell y'all yet. And okay, so what's crazy is police didn't even have to do like the whole dramatic TV interrogation. They didn't have to do that little bad cop, good cop, all that shit. No, they got in there and just started talking like they was recapping a regular Tuesday when they went to Sonic. Charlotte was actually Miss Emily's home health aide. So this woman, she came over to the house all the time to help take care of Emily. She knew the family. She was trusted around the family. And that's what makes the situation so freaking foul. So, according to reports, Latasha and James asked Charlotte for a ride somewhere. Now, some reports say that they have asked they could go to the store. Some reports say that they asked her she could drop them off at a relative's house. But we're going to call a thing a thing. These two didn't need no ride. They wanted that lady's car. And according to what came out later, let me tell you who was the mastermind behind said plan to steal this lady's car and to kill her. The 13-year-old. What the fuck? What in the whole entire fuck? At 13, I was writing song lyrics and gel pen notebooks and begging for matching butterfly clips. Like, come on, man. And meanwhile, Latasha's apparently sitting around plotting Grand Theft Auto Milwaukee edition. We are not the same. So Charlotte, she agrees to give them a ride. She's probably thinking she helping out two raggedy kids she see all the time. Ain't thinking nothing of it. So Latasha gets in the front seat, James get in the back seat. And at some point they tell Charlotte to pull over into an alley. Now, I can't even begin to imagine the fear that probably hit this woman's body in the moment, because you know how sometimes your spirit can feel when something ain't right. And I know that alley had to be quiet as hell. And then they said James reaches from the back seat. He loops a phone cord around Charlotte's neck and starts pulling. Meanwhile, Latasha's sitting right there in the front seat and starts stabbing this woman in the neck with a steak knife. Yes, a steak knife. This woman is being attacked from both sides at the same time. Like, what type of freaking horror nonsense movie is this? And they kept going until Charlotte stopped moving. And what burns me up is this woman had been helping their family, helping Emily. You was already concerned that there was somebody there and you were scared somebody was going to take advantage of her. And then you go kill her home health aide? These kids, I keep telling y'all, these kids is fucking slow. I usually give like us a pass because us 80s babies, like, we was built different, but this is some slow shit. Just slower than a goddamn crock pot on low. Now, anyway, I said that lady was just coming to work, minding her business, and these two little heathens decided that her life was worth less than a car, a red Chevy Cavalier. That's all she was worth. And I'm sure that car wasn't even worth that much because cars was cheaper back in the 90s. And what was it worth? A couple $1,000s? Like, you killed that lady over a couple $1,000 car? And then they dumped her body behind that house, and then they rolled off in her car like they just finished a grocery run. Like, there wasn't no panic or tears. Like, they probably didn't even feel guilty to know, like, oh my God, what did we just do? No. They just two teenage crash dummies riding around Milwaukee in a murdered woman's car like the police weren't eventually going to connect the dots. Now, on March 14th, 1997, like I said, it did not take them no time to get all to wrap this up. No time at all. This is like days. Because we went from the 10th to the 14th, 4 days. They didn't already charge them in 4 days. Arrested, charged, all that. Suspects, wrap it up first 48. Like I said, they were both booked on first-degree murder. James's bail was set at $1 million. Latasha's was set at $100,000. And both of them, neither one of them had the money. Neither one of them had the money. But this is where the story gets even worse. Why was Latasha pregnant when she was arrested? Yep. So now we got a 13-year-old accused mastermind, her 17-year-old boyfriend / baby daddy, a murdered home health aide, a stolen car, and a pregnancy. At this point, this ain't even giving true crime no more. It is giving Maury meets Law and Order SVU. Like, Now, after her arrest, Latasha, she gets sent to the Milwaukee County Juvenile Facility, where she ends up staying there for 21 months. They said that was the longest stay any juvenile had ever been there at the time. The girl basically just moved in. And while she was locked up, she gives birth to her son, Emmanuel. Now, just picture this for a second because it's really sad when you think about it. This child is sitting in juvenile detention. She's pregnant. She's fighting a murder charge. And then she gives birth before she can even legally drive a car. And then her son is taken from her and placed into foster care. I can't even imagine to wrap my mind around all of this. Like, by the time the girl was 13, like, she has lived a life of several people. Like, my God. And then to add all this on, because it gets worse, Wisconsin had a law on the books that basically said that if a child 10 years old or older commits a serious enough crime, the state can charge them as an adult. 10. Wisconsin said, you know your times tables? Perfect. Come discuss this homicide charge. Now, legally, the judge had to consider a few things before deciding whether Latasha should stay in adult court. Basically, could she get enough treatment in juvenile court? Would treating her like a juvenile make the crime seem less serious? And would charging her as an adult help deter other kids from committing crimes like this? Now, let me translate this into regular people language, because the court was basically trying to decide, is this a severely traumatized little girl who still has a chance? Or is this little girl dangerous enough that society needs protection from her? And baby, when I tell y'all, people had opinions about this. And before making that decision, the court orders Latasha to undergo a psychological evaluation. And during that eval, this little girl basically doubled down on what she did. She said, yeah, the murder was my idea. I did that shit. I cried 2 tears in the bucket. Fuck it. But she said that she was going to kill Charlotte, but James told her that he would do it. He would do the strangling because, he was bigger and stronger. So the judge was like, okay, so the 13-year-old planned it, the 17-year-old carried it out, and together they killed a woman over a car. Yeah, that adult court transfer wasn't looking good at all. So October 1997, Judge Daniel A. Noonan officially denies the defense's motion to move the case back to juvenile court for Latasha, meaning she stays in adult court at 13. Can y'all even imagine being worried about algebra 1 minute and then suddenly facing life in prison the next? No, I was struggling through algebra 2. God, I hated it. You don't even use algebra. That was a stupid class. Anyway, now James and Latasha, they're actually both tried separately. James goes first in 1997. His trial moved super fast. They was not playing with him because the defense, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have no witnesses. They didn't have no big emotional testimony. They didn't have nothing for real. Meanwhile, here comes the prosecution with the pony and dog show, and they got everybody. They got the medical examiner who walks the jury through Charlotte's injuries and how violent the attack was. They got DNA. They got all type of stuff. And basically, the end result was July 2nd, 1997, at just 18 years old. After only an hour of jury deliberation, James Williams is convicted of first-degree intentional homicide after the jury rejects his claim that his 13-year-old girlfriend manipulated him into killing Charlotte. And he is sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after, hold on, because you ain't gonna believe this. They said he can have parole after 101 years in 2098. 2098. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mind you, he was born in 1980. Y'all think he gonna make it? Baby SpongeBob still gonna somehow be making new episodes before that man is eligible for parole. Yeah. I can't even. 2098. 2098 at 18. Whew. Now, Latasha's case, completely different energy. Because by the time she finally goes to trial in 1999, she's 15 years old. And when I tell you her defense, they worked. They was fighting hard to save her from spending the rest of her life in prison. Because that's what she was facing, life in prison. And I mean, they threw everything they could at the wall. One of the biggest arguments was that Latasha wasn't trying to kill Charlotte at all. They claimed she was actually trying to cut the cord with the steak knife to save Charlotte's life. Now, yeah, okay. I know y'all looking at the speaker like, girl, what? Because, hold on. I ain't done yet. Now, the defense, they also point out there were some discrepancies in Latasha's written statement. Now, one part reportedly says, quote, she did not put a knife to Charlotte's throat. But at trial, one detective testifies, quote, she then put the knife to Charlotte's throat. And baby, the defense jumped on that immediately like, now, hold on. Did she? Or are y'all adding seasoning to the statement? But the prosecutors, they was ready. They was like, hold on, we got something for that. They bring the medical examiner back up there and he testifies about the positioning of the knife, injuries on Charlotte's neck, and basically shuts down the whole she was trying to save her life theory. They shot that down. And then the defense introduces another heartbreaking layer. Now, they argued that Latasha had been sexually abused throughout her life and that James himself had sexually assaulted her too. Heavy on the allegedly. And according to the defense, all that trauma affected her ability to think independently and interfered with her ability to fully form intent during the murder. And this is the part where the case gets really uncomfortable because now everybody's asking the same questions. Was Latasha a cold-blooded killer? Or was she a severely damaged child who really never had a chance at being normal in the first place? And depending on who you ask, people still arguing about that almost 30 years later because, I mean, can both things be true at the same time? Because I don't. Yeah. Now, when Latasha testified during trial, people said that she came across monotone, emotionless, and detached. And I know some people looked at that and thought, see, she cold, she don't care. But if I'm being honest, by 15, I think that that girl was just mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically exhausted. And before somebody start hollering in my inbox, no, this does not excuse what she did to that lady at all. But we got to be for real because that's what we do around here. We keep it real. We gonna talk. We gonna talk about the uncomfortable things. That's what we do around here. Because at 15, I'm worried about making the cheerleading squad, whether my crush liked me back. And I'm trying to convince my parents I desperately need a cell phone so I wouldn't die if I couldn't call my friends after 9 p.m. Meanwhile, at 15, Latasha had already been neglected, exposed to drugs, sold drugs, used drugs. She done dropped out of high school. She'd been pregnant. She done had a baby. And she's sitting in adult court fighting for her life on a first-degree murder charge. So do you kind of see it there? Like I said, it does not justify anything that she did. Full stop. Does not just no justification at all. But when I tell you, like, I just look at my teen years growing up, and then I look at somebody, and I'm just like, my God, I don't know if I'd be strong enough to survive that because that's crazy. Like, that's not adolescence. That is like 60 years of trauma packed into one tiny teenage body. And at that point, she was probably so detached. She wasn't detached. And she was probably just exhausted. That girl has probably been detached because her brain had been surviving nonstop chaos since kindergarten. Now, despite the arguments from the defense, despite all the trauma that they laid out in court, despite everything, her trial only lasted for a week. And every single day, her grandmother, Emily, showed up to court in a wheelchair. Now, that image right there is sad as hell when you really sit with it because this whole chain of events started with Charlotte simply coming there to help Emily as her home health aide. And I know that lady probably had to feel so bad. Like, my granddaughter killed the lady that came to help me. And at this point, everybody's life is just destroyed. Charlotte's dead. Latasha's fighting for her life. James is fighting for his life. You got the baby in foster care. Emily's in a wheelchair watching it all collapse around her. And who knows where Renee was? Who knows? Now, the jury ultimately does convict Latasha of first-degree intentional homicide. Ugh. Imagine that charge at that verdict at 15. And then came the sentencing. And when I tell y'all this part was so heartbreaking because they said two of Charlotte's children came up in court and they specifically asked the judge to keep Latasha in prison for life with no parole. But can you blame them for real? Because from their perspective, this little girl didn't just steal a car. She stole their mother from them. And I don't know how old her kids was, but it doesn't matter because there's no parole date on grief. Now, Judge Mel Flanagan, he does sentence Latasha at 15 years old to do life in prison, but he did give her the possibility of parole when she turned 30. That's still 15 years. Now, imagine hearing life sentence before you're old enough to rent a car. And on August 6, 1999, Latasha headed off to prison to officially begin serving her sentence. My God, I would be terrified. Whew. And with that, she became the youngest juvenile ever tried as an adult for murder in the state of Wisconsin. Now, cousins, I love old newspaper archives because when I tell y'all the newspaper comment sections before social media were basically like Facebook argument with typewriters, right? So let me tell y'all, because people wrote in and they had very, very colorful and strong opinions about this case. So I'm going to read you a couple of them. So one of them wrote, quote, 13, too young for a life term, old enough to do the crime, then you're old enough to do the time. Continue to slap them on the wrist and your problem will only get worse. Book them, Dano. Make these kids realize that life is not a game. Life is what you make of it. And another person wrote, quote, as a 42-year-old relatively liberal person, I have to say that Latasha rope jumping, and the fact that she called her mommy pie does not influence me at all. The fact remains, kids today at 13 are probably wiser in the ways of the world than I was at 20 and most of my contemporaries. So as far as I'm concerned, she deserves everything she gets. I hope the systems remains as is. So baby folks is basically saying lock her up and throw away the key. And I'm not gonna hold you because I can't prove it. But I'm gonna probably tell you they wasn't none of us. They wasn't one of us, and I can't prove that, but I don't know what's Wisconsin. How many black people live out there in the 90s? I don't know, but I don't know. It just sound like some non-melanated people. Like, to be honest, like how they look at us and treat us like we're all monsters. Now, had that been Johnny down the block, they may have had a different perspective. Again, this is me in my head, what I'm thinking. And again, still not excusing the behavior, but it's still, she was wrong, dead wrong. But I personally can't say I would say I wouldn't give a 13-year-old, even a 15-year-old life in prison. I don't know. That's such a touchy subject because you don't know if they can be rehabilitated. Because if you let them out and they reoffend again and you like, well, damn, we tried to give you a chance. But then, I mean, there is a chance that they are so young that they can change their life around. You just don't know. You just don't know. And it's such a hard position to be in. Okay. So, like I said, people wanted them to lock her up and throw away the key. And this case really did force people to wrestle with an uncomfortable question. At what point does trauma stop being an explanation and start becoming a danger to society? Because depending on who you ask, Latasha was either a manipulative young killer or a severely damaged child who never had a single adult truly protect her from the beginning. Now, in 2002, she filed that appeal, and she argued that the trial court erred when it refused to instruct the jury on the lesser included offense of felony murder. She said they violated her right to equal protection, that the trial court erred in allowing evidence the prior testimony of her mom, Renee, and sentencing a 13-year-old to life in prison constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. And Wisconsin was basically like, girl, yeah, no, appeal denied. And then here came James in 2008 trying to appeal his sentence, arguing that he had ineffective counsel. And the courts pretty much told him respectfully, you could take that right on back to your cell, sir. Denied. Now, years later in 2010, I came across a blog post written by Latasha herself. And cousins, it honestly felt like reading the words from somebody who finally understood the full weight of what happened, in my opinion. Now, Latasha wrote, quote, "I believe I deserve a second chance because I am human and I'm not perfect, nor will I ever be. I made a big mistake without realizing it until it's too late. I took not only the life of my victim, but also my victim's family and my life as well. My world took a horrible spin, and now that I've matured mentally, I want to get a second chance in order to give back to society by becoming a psychologist or a social worker. I also want to open a place for troubled children. I now have a child of my own, and I don't want him to fall into my past footsteps." Ooh. Now, this is why this case is so heavy with people after all these years, because Charlotte Brown absolutely deserved justice, full stop. But at the same time, when you look at Latasha's life in the beginning, like I said, that baby was failed by almost every adult she encountered. And unfortunately, the trauma, neglect, abuse, violence, and chaos exploded in the worst possible way. Now, in 2018, Latasha pops back up in court again, this time filing a lawsuit against the Department of Corrections and specifically a correctional officer named Adam Coleman. And this lawsuit centered around her Eighth Amendment rights. Now, I had to go look it up because I don't remember what they said about that in government class. But so the Eighth Amendment basically protects people from cruel and unusual punishment, meaning that prison officials cannot just ignore serious harm, abuse, dangerous conditions, or threats to somebody's safety and well-being while they are incarcerated. And according to Latasha, Officer Coleman ignored threats that she made about harming herself, and then of course denied that. Now, I don't know how I feel about that because it's nobody harming you. It's you trying to harm you. And then you file a lawsuit because he ignored you saying you were going to harm yours. Yes, they're supposed to stop it. But if you're determined to hurt you, it's not, Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Okay, so prison is already dark enough mentally, but imagine growing up in prison from 13 years old, not juvie. This lady was in prison, this child. So I can't even begin to imagine what that would do to somebody mentally. Like I said, the courts ruled in the favor of the officer and they ended up dismissing the case. Now we're going to fast forward to 2026, and I'm sure you're wondering where James and Latasha are now. Well, baby James is still sitting in prison serving that life sentence over at the Kettle Moraine Correctional Facility. But these days, he goes by the name Sharif Al Akbar. Mm-hmm. And cousins, at this point, he's basically just praying he survives long enough to maybe one day touch free air again. Because technically, he could be eligible for parole in 2098. Sir would be seeing flying Uber cars and hologram Popeyes commercial. And listen, I'm just being honest, because at this point, James is either 45, about to be 46, and respectfully, I would not hold my breath waiting on 2098. So yeah, he'd have to be what, 100 and shoot, let me put out a calculator. My brain, let's see. He was born in 1980, so 2098 minus 1980. That man will have to live till he was 118 before he got out. Yeah, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, sir. Now, Latasha's story ended up taking a very different turn because despite being eligible for parole at the age of 30, she was not granted parole back then. However, after years and years in prison, she eventually met the requirements and was finally granted parole December 18th, 2025. So yes, just 6 months ago. She is now free. And honestly, like the realization kind of stopped me in my tracks because this woman quite literally grew up behind bars. This was not a juvenile detention or a boot camp. This was not a scared straight program. This was prison from 13-year-old to old until her 40s. Like, do y'all think about all the things that she missed? She never learned how to drive. She never went to prom. She never got to graduate high school. She never got to go to a party or a club at 21 or have a drink. Just like all the things that we missed out on. Like, that's crazy. Yes, she had a kid, but it was under such dire circumstances. You know, maybe being married, maybe just dating, just so much that she missed out on, and having to come out at 42, 43. That has to be and like I said, the world is so different from 1997. Like, just imagine now we have iPhones, we have Androids, we have back then everything was on VHS. Now we're streaming everything. You know, we have electric cars. Like, the world has changed. Like, it's a whole different world when you come out and you've been in that long. Like, it's just crazy. Like I said, and whether people think that she deserved freedom or not, I really can't imagine the level of trauma, violence, survival mode, and horror she probably experienced growing up inside an adult prison environment. Yeah, I'm just thankful that she made it out alive. I did know that she has a Facebook page, but there's really not much there. But honestly, I really do hope that she's doing well and trying to build a better life for herself, because at this point, like I said, she's no longer that 13-year-old girl from 1997. She's a grown woman. And I really hope she's been able to reconnect with her son, Emmanuel, because like I said, that situation is heartbreaking, even from the standpoint of him. He's an adult now, and who knows what he went through. But while saying all that to say, I never want to lose sight of Charlotte Brown in this story, because Charlotte absolutely did not deserve what happened to her. That woman went to work helping a family and she never made it back home. And that is a tragedy sitting at the center of this. Now, cousins, that one was a lot. But this week's vibe check song, because I forgot to put it in the intro, was Junior Mafia's Get Money, because, yeah, that title felt like disgustingly on brand for this case. But I need you to let me know, did it pass a vibe check? And most importantly, I really, really, really want to hear y'all thoughts on this case, because this one has so many layers. Like, do you think Latasha should have been tried as an adult at just 13? Do you think she deserved a life sentence? Do you think she deserved parole? Do you think prison rehabilitated her or just simply raised her? And I know y'all about to have a lot of comments, and I would love to hear them. So make sure you drop a comment. You can hit me up on social media. You can email me, podcast@melaninmysteries.com, or you can head over to the website, melaninmysteries.com. And before you go, I need y'all to come and have a sit down with me. I need y'all to gather up, and I need y'all to gather around the table for me real quick. Now, this is something that I need to address. And like I said, first and foremost, in the beginning, I had to thank everyone for the support and everything, because my day ones, I know y'all have been here for a while, and there has been a change. And for some reason, when we started Melanin Mysteries, myself and Willie, that is my best friend. When me and Willie started Melanin Mysteries, he didn't want to even do this. Like, it was my idea. He always know, like, I'd be texting him like, oh my God, Bess, I got an idea. And he'd be like, Lord, I'd be like, Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. And he did not want to do this with me at all. Like, it was not his thing. He does not like true crime. But being my best friend, he came and he was like, all right, Tiffany, if this is what you want to do, I'm down like 4 flats, because that's what he does. Now, with that being said, myself and my best friend, we have decided to part ways as far as this podcast. Now, it has been 2.5 months since this was done. And I do want to say, first and foremost, that it was announced, everyone was notified. And if you did not take the time to actually listen and pay attention, but you say you support us like you do, I don't really know what to tell you. Now, I want to address a review that was left. And let me find it. Okay, here it is. It's specifically, so someone on Apple, and I really hate Apple Podcasts because I cannot respond to anything, which maybe is a blessing in disguise. But someone left a 4-star review. They left a 1-star review. And it says, really, he gone. I don't know about that. He was the show. I miss him. Tiffany, please don't take this the wrong way, but it's not the same without him. First of all, I do take it the wrong way. And let me clarify why I took it the wrong way. Why would you leave me a 1-star review? Because things have changed. Now, let me explain something to y'all. You don't know me nor Willie, and I'm going to say that personally. When we get up here, we may share with you all bits and pieces of our life. When we get up here, we are here to do a job. We are here to tell a story. Now, everybody know, and Willie himself has said it, if he got up here by himself, that story would be 5 minutes long, because Willie did not do research. Okay? Willie did not, it was and I'm not trying to big myself up, and I'm not trying to act like it's all been me, but I'm the one who spends sometimes up to 20 hours a week working on the podcast. It's like the situation, like I said, when we get up here, all you guys see is the front end. You don't see what goes on in the background. You don't see how much time it takes for a 1-hour episode to be produced. All you see is, and that's what you see. That's all you see. You don't see the back end. You don't see what goes into this. You don't know me or him. You don't know the dynamics of our friendship. And I had to take a step back because our friendship was suffering terribly. And eventually it was going to affect the podcast, because I know me. And we'll tell y'all, I'm very calm, but I'm the one that will pop off. And it was either going to be, I decided to separate us from our business, because my friendship to my best friend means more to me than appeasing y'all people. That's my best friend, and I would rather have my friendship with my best friend than to burn this whole podcast to the ground, because I can't take what was going on in the background. Y'all don't see that. You don't know me or him. And I've gotten several very nasty messages demanding that I bring him back. Respectfully, y'all can kiss my ass. Yes. I said, me and him have had to have a come to Jesus moment, because I told him I was feeling undervalued and I was feeling disrespected. And one thing that I tell my best friend, I said, what you always told me was, you don't let no man play in your face, and you don't care. I don't care who it is. And my best friend taught me that. And I'm just like, well, if I don't want to let another man do it, why would I let you do it? And we have had to really sit down and work on our friendship, because it had become so tied to the podcast that we had lost sight of who we were as just Tiffany and Willie. So I'm not mad that y'all miss him. Not at all. That does not bother me at all because we built this together. Me and him, this was us. We built it together. But it's also was starting to feel like, when you were in 6th grade and you had a partner and y'all had to do a project and you did all the work and then your partner just showed up and then y'all both got an A. That's how it was starting to feel. And I was stressed. I was tired and I didn't even want to do this anymore. It wasn't fun anymore to me. And now it's fun again. And like I told everybody from the get-go, when I made the announcement, I said that this vibe is not going to be for everybody. And that's okay. I'm not mad about that. I expected for people to say, I'm not going to listen because Willie's not there anymore. That's okay. That's really okay. Y'all keep saying it's not the same. That was my goal. It's a rebrand. It's not supposed to be the same. It's supposed to be different. That was I spent weeks overhauling everything because I wanted it to be different. I can't recreate our chemistry. I can't do it. It's not possible. And that was never my goal. I didn't want it to be the same. I can't recreate what I had with him. I couldn't. So why would I try? What I did was I took Melanin Mysteries and I'm making it my lane. I'm doing it how I want to do. And some of you're going to be like, oh, I'm sure Tiffany was the problem. I'm sure Willie's just great. Again, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it. That's cool. But what I do ask of you, just because it's not the same or it's not your vibe, I would appreciate you just not leaving a 1-star review because what? You don't like the new vibe? That's okay. If my storytelling was trash or my facts were off, then I would say, okay, go ahead and leave a 1-star review. But I've asked people to come to me directly, like I'm more than what, like I said, y'all know me. I've said it, we've said it from the get-go. If you have a grievance, hey, hit us up in a DM. We've had over the years, we didn't know what we were doing when we started this. We had no idea. But suggestions from people, tips. Somebody told me the other week, like, hey, you talk really fast. And I was like, you know what? Thank you so much because I do have a tendency to talk really fast. And it's not something that I've noticed. Willie has told me to slow down. It's something that I just tend to do. I have no problem with constructive criticism. But respectfully, y'all don't know us. They said we put on a persona, and like I said, you don't know us to demand anything from us. And I hear people say, well, I'm a loyal listener. I understand you're a loyal listener, but let me explain something else to you. My mental health, my dignity, my value is tied to me, and I don't put that before anybody. Sometimes you have to do what is best for you, and I took back what was important to me. And like I said, my friendship with my best friend will forever be more important to me than the podcast. Because real friends are hard to come by. So I'm sorry, I'm not sharing my best friend with y'all no more. Do I feel bad about it? No. Do I regret the decision? No. When the Lord tells me to move in my older years, I'm learning to do what I'm told because usually when I don't do what I'm told, it don't come out right. So it's fine that y'all miss him. It's fine that y'all grieve. Like that's my bestie. Like he's dope as hell. What you want me to say? He's dope as hell. I know. I understand. But also understand that two things can be true at the same time. You can absolutely miss him, but you can absolutely not disrespect me in the process because that was a slap in the face. This was never a comedy show. This was true crime. And like I said, Willie will tell y'all all the time, he don't do no research. He was like, y'all, I'd be up here for 5 minutes. So I'm sorry, like I said, it wasn't and for y'all to drag my ratings down because you don't like something that you know nothing about is just absolutely wild to me. Like I said, I have tried to let the situation die. I have tried to, like I said, people keep telling me that I haven't explained to you. Respectfully, we don't owe you anything. If we decide to share, which I did, I put a trailer up and I explained the transition. And the people that said they support us, it's crazy to me that y'all, when he was here, y'all didn't leave no 5-star reviews then. Y'all didn't leave a review at all. Then when we were asking, like we do every week, hey, can you leave a review? Can you leave a review? Can you leave? Y'all didn't leave a review then. But as soon as he's gone, oh, now it's a problem and you want to trash my ratings. Where was y'all at before? Now, with that being said, I don't and I won't address this anymore. And I would hope that y'all can continue to be respectful in how you say things. It's not about what you say, but it's how you say it. I've had several people say I miss Willie. I've had several people say it's not the same. And I respectfully reply back, okay, I don't, it's a rebrand. It's not supposed to be the same, Bookie. I'm not mad at anybody because you miss him. I promise y'all I'm not. But if you want to leave, there's the door. You don't have to make a grand announcement or anything. You may not like me. That's cool too. All I can do is to show up as myself week after week and just be me. I can't be nobody else. I don't aspire to be anybody else. I don't aspire. I like myself. I love myself. It's taken me a very long time, but I'm so comfortable with me being me because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. What Uncle Clifford said, he's like, if you're trying to be everybody's cup of tea, you ain't gonna have nothing to sip on for yourself. That's how I feel. And that's just what it is. So again, I just want to thank everybody because as much as I've had those keyboard warriors who have done whatever or came to me out of pocket, because some of them I've had to gather on the back end, I want to thank the people who have stayed because it is so many more of y'all that have stayed and have poured into me and have supported me and told me, sis, you are doing great. We are so proud of you. You keep going. You keep your head up. And that is what has kept me going because it's been a couple of times I was just like, I don't think I can do this. And I was just going to give up. But I was like, but at the same time, it was that kept me going. And it was also, I know that the Lord didn't bring me to a situation to leave me. If he brought me to it, he will bring me through it. So if y'all are hoping that I'll bring him back, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not. I said, I've been through a lot and this is the new path. This is the new era. And I pray that y'all are enjoying it because when I say I have so many things in store and I cannot wait to share them with you, this is just the beginning. And I don't kick grad season to the goddamn curb because I think I'm retiring from grad season as of 2026. I put in my time and I think I am graduating. I think I am retiring from everybody's grad season. I have so many ideas and I have so many things that I am wanting to put together for y'all. I got some dope collabs coming up and I cannot wait to share it with you all. And like I said, I just hope and I pray that y'all are enjoying the new era and for everybody who has loved on me, whether it's a stream, whether it is a comment, just a message, a heart, a like, a share. I do not take any of it for granted. And I just thank y'all for rocking with me because no, this transition has not been easy, but I know it's going to be worth it. And like I said, thank y'all for staying around for this portion, but I just really, really had to get this off my chest because it's been bothering me. And Chi-Chi's like, no, just stay professional. You don't owe anybody anything. I don't. But when it comes to a point that y'all are starting to take things out of my ratings because you don't like me by myself, I would just appreciate if you didn't. That's all. So with that being said, I will holler at y'all. The Cousin Confessions will be up on Saturday. And like I said, grad season is over, so I can have these episodes done on time. Like I need to get back on my regularly scheduled program. Stay tuned. Like I said, I've been trying to be more active on social media with videos and just trying to bring y'all more content. And like I said, I have so many more things planned for y'all. So if you're not a subscriber, I would highly suggest that you start subscribing. Oh, excuse me. I would highly suggest that you start subscribing because I have things that are going to be subscriber only. And I just want to see y'all and keep going. So this is cheers to a new era. And I don't care if nobody else is celebrating. I'm celebrating this new era because I'm loving how it turns out. And I hope y'all do too. And I will see y'all next time.